Hallelujah.
Yes, here we go again. Good morning, Mechanicsville. How you doing this morning? Yes, this is the day that the Lord has made for you and for me, and guess what? We're going to rejoice today and be exceedingly glad, not just because we got to or need to or that sort of thing. It's because God's been so good to us. There's nothing left to do except rejoice and to give him thanks. Yes, because he's been so good to you and to me. And so we just give God thanks. Yes, we do. We're thanking God this morning for our neighborhoods, for our communities, for our next door neighbors. Yes, for our town. Yes, for our city, for our state, for our nation. For this world, we're just giving God thanks and praise for everybody that's in it, because we know that he so loved the whole wide world that he gave his only begotten son, Jesus Christ himself, for them and for you and for me as well. And so we're grateful. We're thankful. We're just giving God thanks and praise for another day. Good morning to you.
Steadfast and true is your love toward us, daily renewed is your mercy shown us, God of all gods.
Yes, good morning, Anza, California. Good morning to you. Yes, our listeners in Queen Towns, Maryland, good morning to you as well. Baltimore, Maryland, good morning to you. Washington, D.C., good morning to you as well. Yes, London, England, in fact, all of the United Kingdom, good morning to you today. Yes, all that listen to us in the great country of France, good morning to you. Yes, and Kenya, good morning to you as well. Guadalupe, good morning to you. Yes, San Jose, California. Yeah, we salute you this morning. Good morning to you. Yes, Indianapolis, Indiana, good morning to you. Greenbelt, Maryland, good morning to you as well. Ashburn, Virginia, and all of the state of Virginia, good morning to you. Yes, good morning to you.
Amazing. That's who the Lord is. Come on, let's declare it together. Amazing. Hallelujah. Everybody sing steadfast. Is your love toward us. Daily renewed. Hallelujah.
Yes, all of our listeners out in the great state of Texas, good morning to you today. Yes, those out of the state of Florida, good morning to you. Flagler Beach and Orlando, Florida, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. Yes, good morning to you today. Yes, those who listen to us in Wisconsin, Madison, good morning to you.
It's an everlasting love. Your praise.
Yes, the Carolinas, good morning to you. Both North Carolina and South Carolina, we salute you guys this morning. Yes, the state of Alabama, good morning to you. Mississippi, good morning to you as well. Massachusetts, good morning to you. Minnesota. Yes, we salute you guys this morning. Thanks for listening to us. New York, good morning to you. Yes, Montana, New Mexico, good morning to you today. Those that catch us in West Virginia, good morning to you. Don't forget, give God thanks for those you work with today. Yes, your co-workers, those that you supervise, and those that supervise you as well. Yeah, if you work for a private concern, give God thanks for the owners of that business, making it possible for you to have a job this morning. Give God thanks for them today. Don't forget your enemies. Give God thanks for them, and not only that, but do good for them. Yeah, remember them on their birthday.
That's the God we serve. I tell you today, He is amazing. Hallelujah. Anybody know who He is tonight? Amazing. Come on.
Yes, He's amazing. Yes, He is.
Jesus, you're amazing, God. Amazing. Hallelujah. He's amazing. Yes, He is. Amazing. Tell somebody, the word of the Lord says we overcome by our testimony. Tell somebody, my God is amazing. He's strong and mighty. He's faithful and true. Hallelujah to Jesus. And we celebrate Him in this place. Hallelujah. He's amazing. He's amazing. That's the God we serve. I love Him so much. I love Him so much. Hallelujah. Celebrate Him where you are. He's amazing. Hallelujah, Jesus. And we
Yes. What an amazing person he is. What an amazing gospel it is. And, we've said before, gospel just means good news. What amazing, wonderful, tremendous news, good news the gospel is about Jesus Christ. This is God's broadcast. This is God's declaration. This is God's news. It's his message. It's even his messenger. And his great news is about his son, Jesus Christ. God has already done something. He's finished something. He's completed it. It's over with. It's done with it. Nobody can change it. Nobody can modify it. It has happened. And what has happened concerns himself, Jesus Christ, concerns Christ. But guess what? The focus of it is you. And the focus of it is me. The focus of it is everybody that you and I will ever encounter in our life. Yes. It's God so loving the whole wide world. That means those that are here today, those that will be born today, everybody. This is great news for everybody. That's why I'm so grateful and thankful that we have listeners around the world. It doesn't make any difference what nation, what country, what language it is. This great news is the same for everybody. I don't have to change it up for a different nation, different peoples. I don't have to make any modifications whatsoever because it's the one message. It's the same message. It's for every single one of us. And I tell you, I'm just so delighted and honored to be able to share this with everybody, with whosoever will, whoever wants to hear it. And I'm grateful and thankful that you're telling your neighbors and friends and co-workers as well about Good Morning Mechanicsville. And you're encouraging them to listen as well, because guess what? Just as it has been an encouragement to you, so it will be for them as well. And so together, you and I share this great message, this great news, this great gospel with whosoever. I don't know who it is that you know and who your family members are and who you work with and that kind of thing, but you do. And so whatever you're able to share, we're in this together. Yes, we are. I'm doing the speaking and talking right now, but you're doing the delivering. You're carrying it. You're sharing it with somebody else. And I tell you, I just give God thanks for that. I thank him for that. I thank you for that as well. We're in this together. And guess what? You don't have to pay no dues or nothing. No, sirree. In fact, I don't even have to know who you are. In fact, I don't know. Most of you, I don't know. And so we're in this together. And I'm just so grateful to you. I'm grateful to the Lord as well. I'm thankful for you as well. And I'm thankful for the Lord as he has made this possible. So we're partners together in this. We're teaming up together. We're sharing this with others as well. And so I appreciate that. I really do. I thank God for that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, we've been answering this invitation. We've been responding to this invitation that Jesus has given to everybody. He says, look, come and take my yoke upon you and learn about me. And so we're learning more and more about Jesus Christ. Yes, we've been spending some time in John chapters 14, 15, 16, and 17 because he's going through a lengthy discussion. He is speaking with his disciples. He's training them. He's teaching them. He's sharing with them what was going to happen to him because his hour had come, and he didn't want their hearts to be troubled. He didn't want their hearts to faint on them, to fail them at all. And so he's preparing them. He's not changing anything as a result of how they might feel about this, but rather he's telling them how they're going to feel about it. He's telling them that you're going to be in tears. You're going to be mourning over this. You're going to be sorrowful over this. He said, but that's okay. I just need you to know this. I want you to understand this. But guess what? I'm not going to leave you comfortless. I'm going to pray to the Father. He's going to send you another comforter. And when he comes, he'll no longer just be with you like he has been, but he's going to be in you as well. And you're going to know some things. He's going to teach you some things. He's going to reveal some things. And he goes on, and he prays to his Father as well. It's just fantastic what he's talking to his Father about them and about you and me as well. And so we learn a whole lot by listening to the words of Jesus Christ. What does he say? He says, you have heard it said in the time past, but I say unto you. And so his words to you and to me are more powerful, more meaningful than what anybody else might say, think, or do. Yeah, Jesus said, my words are spirit and their life. And so we have been listening to him, and we'll continue on listening to what he says. But now in chapter 18, there's a shift that happens. There's a shift from him speaking a whole lot to now him doing a whole lot. And there's one thing to see and to know and to understand how God is and what he's like by hearing Jesus talk about him. But then there's a whole different area of you and I learning more and more about who God is by watching what Jesus do. How does he conduct himself? What is his attitude? How does he react to all things that are happening all around him? Now we see him in another way, and he's still teaching us. He's still revealing to us the nature of who God is, because remember, keep this in mind, that he says he never says anything unless he hears his Father saying it. So all of what he spoke about, that's the same thing God is saying. God, his Father, is speaking like that through him. And then he went on and said that I don't do anything unless I see my Father doing it as well. And so now we're beginning to see him. We're beginning to understand more and more about God, who is our Father, by the actions of Jesus Christ, by his attitude, by how he responds to adversity, how he's responding to those people who are about to kill him. In fact, how he even responds to the soldiers that are nailing him to the cross. Yeah, in the midst of his agony and whatnot, how does he react? What is his response? What is his attitude? What is making him tick? And as we see that, even though he's saying nothing, he's living something now. And as we see that, we're getting a tremendous insight into the character of God himself, of our dad, of our Father. And guess what? We're also getting some understanding of how you and I are to be, how he is in us. If he's in control of your attitude, guess what? Your attitude is going to be just like his. If he's in control of your actions, then guess what? You're going to be acting just like him. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so here we go. We're in John chapter 18 now, and we started last Friday looking at this, and he has now gone to the Garden of Gethsemane. This is a favorite place for him. The Bible tells us that oftentimes, verse 2, Jesus would resort there with his disciples. This was a resting place. This was a place of refuge, so to speak. This was a haven for them. This was a place where they could just unwind. They could get away from the multitudes and the crowds, and even get away from those that were out to seek him, to kill him, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. This was not a place that everybody saw him go and come out of. No, they needed Judas to tell him where he might be. They didn't say, well, we don't need you at all. We know where he hangs out at. But no, they needed an informant. Judas himself paid him 30 pieces of silver that he might betray the beloved. And so now this day has come. The hour has come. Judas has arrived with a whole band of men and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees. They have now come. They are the officers, and they are the security guards. They're the fighters and whatnot of the high priest, the chief priest rather, and the Pharisees, and they come with lanterns and torches and weapons. Yeah, they think they're going to have a struggle with Jesus. And so they'll come prepared. They got weapons already. And when they find him, Jesus asks him, who are you looking for? Who you seek? And they said, we're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. He said, I'm he. I'm the one you're looking for. Yes, I'm the one. I'm the one. And he says, look now, you found me. Here I am. Don't mess with these guys that are with me. Leave my disciples alone. That's what you've come for. Here I am. Don't bother them at all. And we're told by the Spirit of God that the reason why he said this is because he had said that he would lose nothing except for the one, the son of perdition. Yes. And so, Peter, now we start off in verse 10. Now Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. And then Jesus said unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup which my Father has given me, shall I not drink it? And then the band and the captain and the officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him and led him away to Ananias first, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas. which was the high priest that same year. Now Caiaphas was he which gave counsel to the Jews that it was expedient that one man should die for the people. Yeah, they paraded him off now. And before that happened, you know how Peter spoke up and said, Lord, don't worry, you know, we'll die before they take you. And so he pulls out his sword and he cuts off the right ear of this servant. In another one of the gospel renditions and whatnot, Jesus puts that ear back on this man's head and heals him right then and there. Yeah, without the guy asking for it at all, he just goes ahead and makes the man whole just like that. But he tells Peter, he said, put away your sword. He said, wait, man, stop and think now. He said, don't you realize this is the cup which my Father has given me, and shall I not drink it? I'm not fearful of this. In fact, Peter, I've been telling you, this is what has got to happen. It hasn't dawned on you. It hasn't sunken in with you. It hasn't registered with you yet that it's necessary. It's expedient for this to happen to me. And he says, look, I love Jesus' attitude even in the midst of what he's going through. He says, look, this is my Father's cup. This is what he has given to me to drink. He says, now, shall I not drink it? I'm not fearful of this. I'm not hesitant. I understand this is about my Father. This is what my Father has for me. And guess what? I'm not fearful to embrace it. I'm not fearful to drink it. This is his attitude towards this. In fact, his attitude towards Peter, who wants to hinder him, is, man, stop hindering me. Get out of the way. You think you're doing good to me, but you're not. I need to drink what the Father has given to me. And then the band and the captain and the officers of the Jews, they take Jesus and they bound him. They have no idea. They don't need to bind him up. They don't need to tie him up. There's no resistance in him. There's no desire to escape. They're thinking he's going to be like anybody else, that he's going to try to escape. We need to tie him up, make sure that he is not able to in any way evade us, to resist us at all. But he doesn't resist. He doesn't resist at all. They don't know that. That's why they come with weapons. They think they may have to force him, that they have to take him. Jesus said, look, when that time comes, he said, I'll lay down my life. I'll lay it down freely, and when it comes time, I'll pick it up. You can't interfere with this at all. And so they led him away. They take him to Annas the first, and then they take him to Caiaphas. Yeah, Caiaphas is the one that already made up his mind about Christ. He'd already said, look, it's better for us to go ahead and that one man should die for the people. We don't need no insurrection here. We don't need Rome to get upset. They'll take it out on all of us. So I tell you what, it's better for us to just go ahead and get rid of one man, and the rest of us will be okay. Verse 15 says, and Simon Peter followed Jesus and did another disciple. We're not told who this other disciple is, and that disciple was known unto the high priest, and went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. Yeah, the high priest lived in a palace. Yeah, he had guards and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, armor bearers. Yeah, the high priest, he lived in a palace. And so there was another disciple that knew the high priest. Yeah, he had some connections there. But Peter stood at the door without, and then went out that other disciple which was known unto the high priest, and spake unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter. Yeah, he made way for Peter to be able to come inside the palace grounds. And then said the damsel that kept the door unto Peter, art thou also one of his men, one of his disciples? He saith, I'm not. And the servants and officers stood there, who had made a fire of coals, for it was cold, and they warmed themselves, and Peter stood with them and warmed himself. The high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. Who are these men that are following you? Yes, and what you been teaching? What you been spreading all around here and whatnot? I want to know what you've been talking about. And Jesus answered him, said, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whether the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. I haven't said anything in secret. Everything's been public. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me. What I have said unto them, behold, they know what I said. And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Jesus with the palm of his hand, saying, Answer thou the high priest so? And Jesus answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why smitest thou me? Isn't that amazing? Jesus responds to the question about, what are you teaching? What's this doctrine of yours all about? And Jesus said, look, I've been speaking this openly in the synagogue and the temple and all over the place. I haven't said anything in secret. I'm not trying to conspire against anybody. I'm just speaking the truth out loud. Publicly, he said, ask any of those people who've heard me. They'll tell you what I've said. And this officer hauls off and smacks Jesus in the mouth, smacks him in the face, smacks him. Isn't this an amazing picture? Here is one of the officers of the high priest. He's just as ignorant about who God is. He's just ignorant about who Christ is. And out of his ignorance, he has more respect towards the high priest than it does towards God himself. And he hauls off and smacks Jesus in the mouth, in the face. And Jesus says to him, basically, look, if I said something evil, then bear witness. Tell me what evil I just spoke. But if I'm just speaking the truth, I'm just speaking well, why did you smite me? Why did you hit me? Yes. Now it had sent him bound again unto Caiaphas the high priest. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, Art thou not also one of his disciples? And he denied it, and said, I'm not. And one of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, said, Did not I see you in the garden with him? And Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crowed. Then led they Jesus from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment. And it was early, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled. But that they might eat the Passover. Pilate then went out into them and said, What accusation bring you against this man? And they answered and said unto him, If he were not a malefactor, if he were not a criminal, we would not have delivered him up unto you. Then said Pilate unto them, Take him and judge him according to your law. The Jews therefore said unto him, It is not lawful for us to put any man to death, that the saying of Jesus might be fulfilled, which he spake, signifying what death he should die. Isn't that amazing? They couldn't enter into Pilate's place at all because they didn't want to defile themselves. Here they are falsely accusing Jesus. Here they are trying to seek his death, trying to deliver him to the hands of the Romans for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and they're concerned about defiling themselves. Dumb and stupid and just lacking understanding altogether. Look, this is just so wild. But guess what? We're seeing something about God that is important for you and I to know about him. We're looking at this, and let me ask you this question. Is Jesus angry and upset? Is he but ready to explode with wrath and anger on anybody? Does Jesus appear to be vengeful? Does he appear to be somebody who is really upset now because he's been betrayed by his treasurer? He's been betrayed by somebody who had been close to him. He's been betrayed by somebody he selected, somebody that was a part of his inner circle. Is he upset now and ticked off that everybody has left him? Nobody's around. Peter's gone. John is gone. Luke is gone. Matthew's gone. Philip is gone. There's nobody there at all. Is he just mad? Is he upset now with the high priest? Is he full of wrath and anger? Let me ask you this question. What about his father? Is his father upset? Is his father mad? Is he ticked off? Is he revengeful? Is he wrath? Is there wrath building up on the inside of him? Is he getting angry and upset? Is he getting mad at all? And you say, well, how can we know? Well, we're looking at Jesus now. We're looking at his countenance as best as we can. We're looking at his attitude. The Spirit of God is not revealing to us that he felt that he was upset and mad and vengeful. We're looking at Jesus, and we're remembering now that Jesus is the very expression of who God the Father is. This is important because so many people believe that God is a God of wrath, that vengeance is his, and they don't understand what they're talking about. We will take what we think wrath is and what vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I'll repay. We take that and we interpret that in our modern understanding of what that means. We've already decided that we know what God is saying, that don't worry, I'm going to get your enemies for you. Is that what he's saying? Look at his son. Look at what's happening to his son. Look. How does he feel about this? And I'm beginning to see that no, this is the mercy of God being shown across the board. This is the kindness of God. This is the long-suffering of God. This is the patience of God. This is the mercy of God. Not striking down the high priest, not consuming him up with vengeance, not taking vengeance on these soldiers. In fact, later on we'll find Jesus speaking about the soldier that's nailing his hands to the cross. You'll hear him say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. We'll see this being the real attitude about what God is like. We'll see this is the one in which how God responds to his enemies. Didn't Jesus say that your Father, he allows his rain to rain on the just and the unjust? Didn't he say that, wait a minute, your thoughts about God are just wrong? You think he's full of wrath and anger and vengeance and all that kind of stuff? He's not like that at all. Agape is not like that. Love is not like that at all. That's just your understanding. That's your interpretation. That's just the way you think. That's the way I think. That's the way humans normally think. But that's not true. That's why Jesus could say, nobody knows who the Father is. You think he's that way because that's your understanding of the English language, but the English language has a difficult time being able to translate exactly how my dad is. He's not like that. That's why Jesus could say, nobody knows who the Father is except for me, the Son. And nobody really knows who I am, the Son, except the Father. And so now we're seeing this. We're entering into this part of his teaching that's nonverbal, his body language, his attitude, his demeanor, how he responds. Yes, so here he is, and guess what?
Hallelujah.
We're seeing the love of God being manifest through Christ in an amazing way. Yes.
He's so
They're doing him in. They're setting him up. They're lying about him. They're about ready to crucify him. And I encourage you to study him. Study this picture, and you'll get to see more about Jesus Christ, more about God our Father than what words can teach. His actions, his life, his attitude towards you, towards me, towards his enemies. So you and I will know that's the way you and I will be towards our enemies, if we have any. Yeah, that we'll have this same Spirit of Christ in us towards them. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't know what they're doing. Father, just forgive them. I know that's how you are. Good morning to you.
Steadfast and true is your love toward us, daily renewed is your mercy shown us, God of all gods. It's truly amazing.
Yeah, don't you wish more and more people knew the truth about who God is and what God is like?
When you
They
get
knew the truth about Jesus Christ, knew the truth about agape love. Yes. Because we are to love one another in the same way that God has loved us, loving us, forgiving us, patient and long-suffering with each and every single one of us.
truly amazing.
Yeah, so give God thanks again for your neighborhood, for your next-door neighbor, for the community that you live in.
Come on,
Give him thanks always, every day.
Is an everlasting love. Yes. It's sufficient. And this truth leads us straight to freedom. Amazing. That's who the Lord is. Come on, let's declare it together. Hallelujah. Everybody sing steadfast. Is your love toward us. Daily renewed. Hallelujah. He's the God of all gods. He's truly amazing. Make no doubt about it. He's amazing. Come on. Hallelujah. Oh, your love is an everlasting love. Your grace is sufficient for us. Your truth leads us to freedom. Situation, I dare you to declare it as an offering to him. I dare you to lift it up to him in the name of the Lord. I can hardly wait till that day when I see your face. Oh, I'm sure I'll say I can only imagine what I'll say. Yeah, that's the God we serve. I tell you today He is amazing. Hallelujah. Anybody know who He is tonight? Amazing. Come on, declare in the name of Jesus, you're amazing, God. Amazing. Hallelujah. He's amazing. Yes, He is. Amazing. Tell somebody, the word of the Lord says we overcome by our testimony. Tell somebody, my God is amazing. He's strong and mighty. He's faithful and